Years since South Africa and the world lost the genius that was or is pianist, saxophonist, guitarist, composer and arranger Bheki Mseleku. The legendary multi-instrumentalist's work continues to inspire many musicians, and to this day many are still interrogating and researching his inspiring art academically. In honor of the brilliance that is Mseleku, academics, musicians and journalists reflect on the art and the life of the pianist in a night titled Rediscovering the Genius of Bheki Mseleku, Conversations and Performances. While to tell us more, we are joined by the event curator, Aymeric Péguillan. With him is jazz historian Dr. Lindelwa Dalamba, who is will chair one of the panel discussions. Good morning, guys. Thank you so much for making the time to come through. First things first, Aymeric, you were at the tribute to Bheki Mseleku by jazz musician Duduzo Makhathini recently. Who was Bheki Mseleku to you?
Well, to be honest, he is one of the reasons why I came to South Africa. I came to discover his music in the early 90s when I was still in Europe, and I was completely mesmerized and stunned by the extraordinary inspirational and spirituality of his music. At the time, he was making a lot of waves in Europe and the American scene, having collaborated with a number of illustrious musicians and recorded some amazing albums. So for me, it was a natural path of discovery of South African music. So when I came here in 1994, and I then later saw Bheki Mseleku actually at the Market Theatre. In that very room that we were at with Duduzo in July, and actually playing on the very piano that Bheki Mseleku was playing on. So for me it was a true inspiration and one of my favorite musicians still today.
Dr. Dalamba, just in your experience, in your research, in your reading up on this genius, what were some of your findings and what impressed you the most?
Well, what impressed me the most is that he was an ordinary human being, and I think we need to be slightly careful about throwing around words like geniuses because they take somebody out of society. And what really inspires me about Bheki Mseleku is that he seems to have drawn out a lot of care from people. Yeah? So you see him being protected and being cared for and being fed and being housed by other jazz exiles who caught up with him wherever he was. So when he was in London, somebody like Chris McGregor, the pianist, would give him a roof over his head. Eugene Skiff was coming to help us celebrate. The musician also was helping Bheki, live life and communicate with home, etc., etc. So once you trace somebody like Bheki Mseleku's biography and up until his death, you end up getting in touch with other musicians because he attracted people, and he attracted people through music, and he attracted people through care and love and a sharing of this idea and ethos that is the beauty of South African jazz.
Aymeric, talk to us about sort of rediscovering Bheki Mseleku through conversation and performances. What can we look forward to? What kind of experience can people expect to draw from that?
So it's going to be a significant event because we have Eugene Skiff that Lindelwa mentioned, who was a life friend, a life partner in music of Bheki Mseleku and spent a lot of time with him in London. And Eugene is still based in London and is coming to South Africa in September for a number of events. And so we thought, it would be a great opportunity to have him being able to speak to us about Bheki's creative process, about his generosity also in music towards other musicians, always welcoming, other people and happy to engage with them and teach with them. So Eugene's going to be there. Duduzo Makhathini, who is based at Fort Hare in the Eastern Cape, is going to be there as well as a performer, but also as part of the panel discussion that we're going to have. Professor Salim Washington, who's an American-born musician who's based now at UKZN, is also going to be there and also a great admirer of Bheki's music. And then Afrika Mkhize was also one of the disciples of Bheki Mseleku is going to be there. So they will be performing, but before the performance, we wanted to have a meaningful conversation that Lindelwa will be moderating. Gwen Ansell will be as well there, and one of the best jazz journalists in South Africa, with those guys that I've mentioned, Eugene, Salim, Duduzo, and Africa. So we really want to get first-hand accounts from these musicians who are also academics to give us a perspective about what is it that they interrogate today. You spoke about the multi-instrumentalism of Bheki Mseleku. How much did that influence his composition? You know, not many musicians were able to play what Bheki was able to play, and also playing two instruments at the same time in some songs, you know, in some recordings. So it's a very exceptional musician, and so we thought, you know, let's bring an exceptional panel to discuss that genius. So that will start at 7 p.m. at the Wits Theatre with a conversation, then we'll break and then we'll have performances, and we've got some wonderful musicians playing together with them. Ayanda Sikade on drums, Tuto Motseme on bass, we have Sianda Zulu on trumpet, and Salim will play obviously the tenor saxophone. So that's going to be really, I think, Sisonke Conti also is going to be there, so it's going to be an exceptional.
And the pianists.
And the pianist.
The pianist, yeah.
So speaking of other conversations that will be had, you'll be facilitating, Dr. Dalamba. Just take us through some of the themes that you're most looking forward to exploring.
Well, we're looking forward to exploring the position that Bheki Mseleku has in South African jazz history, which is a story we're only discovering now, and we have to catch up because our heroes are dying all over the place. You know, there's stories now that we'll never be able to hear because somebody like Hugh has passed on, somebody like Philip Tabane has passed on. So the earlier we start this conversation, the better. So really we're exploring what Bheki Mseleku can teach us about South African jazz history that we don't know quite yet, what we can learn more about him, what we can learn more about all sorts of things that cohere around a person we may call a jazz subject.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for your time this morning. I'm certainly looking forward to it. I will definitely be there. Thank you so much, and all the best. That's Aymeric Péguillan, who is the organizer and curator of Rediscovering the Genius of Bheki Mseleku. The conversations and performances will be chaired by jazz historian and Wits musicologist Dr. Lindelwa Dalamba, and this takes place at the Wits Theatre on Friday, the 14th of September 2018. So make sure that you are there. Time for a quick break. Do stay with us here on Morning Live.